Hello, hello. I'm Zachary Hines, and this is what you missed at the Straz. Welcome. I'm Zachary Hines, and I am with the fabulous, fierce LeeAnn Day Douglas,
Good morning.
and we are talking about Pose, Strike a Pose, Vogue.
Yes, we are talking about Pose. So it's going to require a little bit of explanation about why we're talking about Pose.
Right, it's Pride Month.
It is Pride Month. Yes.
End of Pride Month, we wanted to, you can't. LeeAnn had never seen Pose.
Well, no, that's not true. I had seen it. We were supposed to talk about Victor Victoria, and Broadway HD removed it before I had a chance to watch it. But I had bad timing, right? Because it was up for a couple of months, and I had seen it when I was a kid, and I really, really loved it. But yeah, I just have bad timing. So
That seemed to be our story with Broadway HD, where you'd see these titles for like months, and then we'd finally be like, okay, let's watch this. And then I'd get a text from LeeAnn being like, it's no longer on there.
so I'd seen episodes, not a lot of Pose. I had seen one or two episodes because my husband watches it when he works out on his spin bike. So I was like, I could watch this. This would be a good thing to watch. That way I can get caught up, be where he's at, because he's already on season 2. And I said I thought it would be a great thing for Pride Month for us to watch Pose. So, and there is a Broadway tie back with Pose.
Right. It stars, the fabulous Billy Porter, who originated the role of Lola in Kinky Boots and won a Tony for it.
Tony Award for that, and he is absolutely fabulous. Yes. So,
And he performed with one of our colleagues at the Strauss Center,
mm-hmm.
Bill Roland.
Yep. So really, really cool.
So we're like 3 degree, or would it be 3 or 2 degrees of separation?
2.
2 degrees of separation from Billy Porter.
It's too many.
Can you believe I think a year from now, we're gonna be 1 degree.
There you go.
That's our goal.
So anyway, we decided to watch Pose.
Yes, and so you binged the season in 2 days.
Yes. So, all right. Number one, I should start by saying I'm not much of a TV watcher. So, this was quite a commitment for me to binge watch 8 episodes in 2 days. Because we were going to watch American Son for the podcast, and we did watch American Son, and it was with Kerry Washington. It was absolutely fabulous, but it was a lot like Pipeline, so we decided we needed to give you guys a little more variety. So I said, oh, what are we going to do? And of course, that was on Monday. And it's like, well, we better watch something else. So it's like, okay.
Well, I
What
love
are we
I
going to
gave
do?
you the option. I was like, "Well, we can watch Paris is Burning," which is an hour and a half, and LeeAnn was like, "Why don't I binge this 8-hour season?" Which I am in full support of because I love Pose. And yes, definitely make sure you watch American Son. It's really fabulous, um, and very important. Uh, but yeah, Pose. I remember I watched the first season when it came on Netflix last summer, and it was like a rainy day. My friend came over, and we watched a few other movies, and finally we're like, "Oh, I heard this Pose show is really good." And we start watching it, and it's one of those shows, where it ends and like Netflix is doing that countdown to the next episode, and we're like, "Oh, okay, we'll do one more." And then sure enough, it's like 4 in the morning, and we kept doing it until we finished this whole season. It was so good. We watched it in one night.
Wow. Yeah, I couldn't do that. Like I said, I'm not a TV person, so watching 4 hours in a day was quite a stretch for me. So, but it was good. It was really, really good.
Yeah, it's juicy. It's a great. First of all, how exciting it is, the first show with that many trans actors and
Mm-hmm.
characters. and I think it's the first show to win an Emmy Award for featuring trans actors.
Yeah, so for people who don't know what it's about the African American gay and trans culture in New York City in the 80s.
And Latinx, don't forget
Oh,
that too.
sorry. People of color. That'll cover everybody.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
yeah. So yeah, it was really, really interesting. There are a lot of things that I just didn't know. I mean, they cover a lot, like the AIDS epidemic features really, really prominently in the show. Um, they talk about ball culture in New York City, and I don't know if ball culture existed anywhere else. Do you know?
I believe I know it started in Harlem. I'm sure it expanded beyond there and eventually evolved into the drag we know today,
Hmm.
that's become so popular with RuPaul's Drag Race. So really anyone who comes to the Straz Center who sees Bianca Del Rio every time she's here or the drag tours, they really need to watch Pose and even should continue to watch Paris is Burning to really learn their history and see where it all came from. And it's really interesting because we're having all these conversations this month. Um, and this show brings it back home to a lot of where we are today is because of queer people of color and their contributions to the culture. So I love that Pose is really such a celebration of that, and it's not, oftentimes when we go back to tell our history, there's kind of a whitewashing of things, and they didn't do that. So I really think that's exciting that that the communities that participated are getting the representation and the proper credit.
I do too. I do too. That was one thing about the most recent episode of TTRL that you recorded, which was they were talking about Black Lives Matter, and that includes trans Black lives and gay Black lives, and so I thought that was a really important statement. And then watching Pose on top of it, it was like, oh, that all kind of came together really nicely. So so yeah, so yeah, it was a really cool show. Do you want to describe it?
Okay, so in ball culture they have houses and it which are there's a mother of a house who's kind of the leader, the matriarch, and and it's really kind of family. They've formed their own families because many of them have lost their biological family, have either been disowned or are not accepted for who they are. So they've had to kind of figure it out on their own. So they've found each other.
Well, and a lot of them were living on the streets, right? A lot of them were sleeping in the park, living on the streets, and so these mothers brought in other people of color who were family and fed them and helped give them shelter and brought them under their wing into the gay culture.
Right. And then they perform at these balls as a house and compete for uh, all the different, that's where voguing started. Um, and and so there's a lot of drama because the House of Abundance, which is led by Elektra, who is my favorite character. She's fierce. She's a total bitch, and I love it.
Yeah, she really is. She's played by Dominique Jackson, is that correct?
Yes. And she had actually a really interesting story. She is from Trinidad, and she actually escaped to the United States when she was a teenager, um, because she suffered from abuse and bullying for being who she is because she's a trans woman. But she's so, I mean, she's just like she could murder you with a stare.
And she has cheekbones for days.
I know, and legs for she's just perfect. But her housemates have had enough because she rules with an iron fist, and it's very much the Elektra show. And so Blanca goes leaves to start her own house, the house of Evangelista,
Mhm.
and and takes some of the girls with her. And that has caused a war between these two new houses for Mother of the Year.
For Mother of the Year and for trophies along the way. So
And Blanca is very, it's interesting too, like the whole how it explores motherhood and what it means to be a mother and the different ways to express that, where Elektra expresses it through discipline and expectation of greatness and hard work, and Blanca is very much more nurturing and really genuinely cares, for the people in her house.
she can also be very strict. She has rules. I mean, she has
Mhm,
rules. There's this part in season 1 where one of the boys that is in her house, is dealing drugs down at the pier. And she had strictly said no drugs, nothing illegal, and she says to him, if you get arrested for doing something illegal, don't make me your phone call.
mhm.
And she ends up kicking him out of the house when she finds out that he is dealing drugs, and he ends up going to be with the house of, oh, what's the new house? Can you remember their name? It's not Abundance, it's not Evangelista, it is the House of Ferocity.
Right, yes.
Right, right. So little Poppy goes to live with the House of Ferocity, and
And they're kind of a hot mess.
they are a hot mess. They are a hot mess. It's so delicious to watch, though. So yeah, it's really a lot of fun. Um,
I have to say before I started watching the show, it took me a while actually because I waited until it was on Netflix to watch, and I feel like I don't know, I thought it was gonna be, because they are living very tough lives.
mhm,
There's a lot of darkness um, and challenge that they face, but it's really just inspiring to see how, despite all of that, there's so much joy that they create for themselves. And so, despite all the adversity that is thrown their way, um, life continues, and they find a way to continue to express joy. I thought that is one of the most beautiful things of the series, that, you know, that family and love and joy can exist anywhere despite
mhm,
everything else.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because you don't think, or I didn't think about the fact that when you get kicked out as a young person, kicked out of your family, kicked out of your house, and if you're sleeping, if you're homeless and you're not continuing your education, and your prospects for employment are going to be really limited, and to be able to make enough money to have an apartment and put food on the table and all of the things that a lot of us take for granted, um, they just don't have it. And so there's a lot of prostitution that goes on. Many of them end up working in peep shows in Times Square just to make money. And when they're challenged into you know doing better, finding better, being better, they're like, I have an eighth grade education, how am I supposed to rise up from that? And yet they do find a way.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I think the show really does a very good job, I think, of showing kind of the economic decisions that they have to make. Even with
Mhm.
I love the story of Electra too, because she is in a situation in the beginning where she has a sugar daddy, who, she lives very well. She has expensive clothes and a nice apartment, and um but her sugar daddy wants her to.
To remain exactly as she is.
Right, and she wants to have the surgery to
Yeah,
transition.
she's pre-op, and he likes her that way. And she wants to complete her transition, and he's like, "No, that's not why I'm with you. I'm with you because I like you the way you are. And if you do this, we're not going to be together anymore." And she makes the choice to go ahead and do it, and he follows through and basically kicks her out. And so now all of a sudden she has no sugar daddy, no money, no apartment, and no way of making money. And so she has this huge fall from grace in the middle of the season, and ends up back in the sex trade again, which is not somewhere that she ever thought she would be at this point in her life.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's a great reminder to. I think there's a lot of judgment on people, who specifically work in the sex trade, and it's without this show is a great reminder of that people are really just doing the best they can to survive.
Hmm.
And, people don't have the same choices that maybe you or I had, or the same privileges in growing up with a family or growing up with money. Um, and then when you add on the layers of being in the LGBT community at that time, being a person of color, that just adds on a whole lot more weight to what you have to go through. And I think it's so important that we look back at our history and we learn from it. And, particularly this year in Pride Month, Pride Month started with an uprising, with a civil disobedience, a revolution, and it was led by queer people of color, mostly um, drag queens and trans people. And, we can't forget that. Pride isn't always just parades and glitter and rainbows, it's fighting for equality. And I think this show does and even how includes the AIDS epidemic within that is,
Hmm.
they do such a loving job of really making it personal. And I can only imagine we're going through a pandemic right now, um, but just how scary it must have been, um, to not know what this is, to lose that many friends and loved ones, and really have the larger community not really care.
Yeah, because it wasn't just that they got sick and died of this illness. It was that they lost their dignity. Um, and I mean, there are things that are shown that they just kind of show like little snippets in the show, but like when Preytel goes to visit his boyfriend who's dying in the hospital of AIDS, and his food is outside on the floor because the nurse on duty won't come in his room, won't bring him his food. And so he doesn't get to eat because she just won't. And that was normal.
Mhm.
That was normal treatment for people with AIDS because nobody knew how it was transmitted. Everybody thought they called it the gay plague. People thought it was God's way of wiping gay people off the planet by giving them this plague. And, it took a while to learn, for the science to catch up and for people to understand how it spread, what it was. And, but I still don't think that stigma has gone away.
No, I mean, not I mean, we've certainly come a very long way. I mean, now it's with modern medicine and everything, it's manageable, but there's still a huge amount of stigma that goes with it. I mean, I was sobbing when Pray Tell and Blanca go to perform, 'cause
Mm.
Pray Tell kind of arranges a little show for the patients because he wants to honor their humanity and bring life back to them. Because that whole ward is so sad.
It's just awful. Yeah, and he arranges a little, like, cabaret show in their rec room, basically, and put up some streamers, and he sang for them. Okay, so this is where, like, TV departs from reality. Because if I had somebody I love dying of AIDS in the hospital and I set up a little cabaret, there ain't no way I'd be able to get through a song without just sobbing, right? And here is Billy Porter just singing these songs, and I mean,
Mhm.
he's, the perfect actor to getting just a little bit of a tear in the corner of his eye while he's singing, and his eyes get a little glossy, and he's supposed to be thinking he's getting ready to cry, but a real person would never been able to get through that song. Never.
Oh, I mean, especially because both Blanca and Pray Tell have been diagnosed with HIV.
Right.
And so I think that is the other thing too, is that they are looking at what their future
Their
could
future.
be,
Mhm.
which that's another layer of just, not only are you trying to help people that are suffering, but you're also looking at, what you will be potentially suffering through as well.
Yeah.
And to be able to, be brave enough to confront that, I think just shows the show does such a good job of like creating these fully fleshed out characters. Like no
Mhm.
one, they even like as villainous as Elektra can be, they still show her humanity and her perspective and her value. And um and they do a really good job of justifying everyone's decisions where you might not agree with the choice. You might like that was not a good choice, but you understand why.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can't talk about the show without talking about the fierceness of the costumes at the balls.
Oh
So,
my god.
yes, the costuming for the balls is just amazing.
Category is.
Oh my gosh, there's so much silk. There is so much color and chiffon and fabulousness in everything that they're wearing.
I know I thought I would be seeing you in some chiffon.
Oh, yes, because I have chiffon in my closet. Yes. After how many months in quarantine? I have plenty of chiffon just waiting to be worn.
I actually do. I should have worn a look. I have plenty. I actually have this like bedazzled muumuu that I should have brought out for you.
I think I've been in a tank top for 3 months. So, yeah, I need to kind of upgrade my look.
What would the House of Evangelista have to say about this?
Oh, they would throw so much shade. I would not be allowed to walk at the ball because I do not have the proper clothing at all.
Unless it was like category is lesbian gardening quarantine realness.
I could win that category hands down. I just have to make sure I have mud all over my hands and dirt under my fingernails, and we would be good to go.
Oh my
So,
goodness, they couldn't touch you. What would your house name be?
my house name. Oh, the House of Felinity.
Oh,
What do you think?
I love that. I'm gonna have to get my application ready. I feel like you already are a house mother.
Yeah, probably. How about you? What would yours be?
Oh, it would have to be the House of Bougie.
Oh, there you go. See? That's perfect. That's perfect.
Bougie's my house mother.
I love it. So, how are you gonna rate it?
Oh, Pose? Oh, I mean, I feel like it's unrateable, it's so good. Um, Ooh, ooh.
10, 10, 10,
10.
10,
Yes, that's a good one.
10. Yes.
10s across the board.
There you go. That's it.
Good one. That's it. Yes.
Yes, yes. So
I actually have to watch I still have to watch season 2 because season 2 picks up when Madonna's Vogue comes out.
right, and I saw some of season 2 because, like I said, my husband was watching it, and so I was like, "Oh, I see, I'm, like, totally behind." So he started to try to explain it to me, and I was like, I'm just gonna have to watch it." So
Yes.
yeah, so it's, but yeah, I give it 10s across the board too. It was really, really good. So
So good. So if you have not yet watched Pose, binge it. It's the perfect holiday weekend watch, especially if it's a rainy day. You'll get through it in a day. You won't be able to stop.
nope, nope.
All right. What are we going to watch next time? Season 2.
We could
Let's
watch
do
season
season
2.
2.
Yeah, let's do season 2. Okay, that
Okay.
sounds good.
Well, and catch up this weekend on season 2 because next time we'll be talking about season 2 of Pose.
Very nice. That's an easy one.
Now we're gonna have to change our title to What You Binged at the Straz. All right, till next time, take care of each other, take care of yourself. We'll catch you later.